All right, so for homework, it's your final turn-in of Project 1. So make sure that you make all the revisions from critique. Make sure that you add all your highlights and shadows and all your effects and finishing touches that you want so that you can turn in the final. In terms of what to turn in, you can go into the assignment sheet, and on the last page you'll see a turn-in section, and it'll give you in detail what you need to turn in, but I've also summarized it here. Now there's a two-part submission. The first part is to turn in your design brief and self-evaluation, so I'm going to go ahead and click here, and what it will do is it just downloaded, and it'll either be on your desktop or wherever your downloads go to your downloads folder, or in my case I can access it here. I'm just going to go ahead and double click this here. And it'll open up in Word. It's a Word document, and it basically looks like this. And in this section, you'll be filling out this portion here. Okay, and basically what this does, it tells your name, it tells you what project it is, the title. You're going to briefly summarize what this project was, a description of it, the summary of the process, like basically what steps did you go through to complete this assignment the way you interpreted it. And then there's a description of the conceptual meaning behind your composition. Basically, without having to retype your entire story, briefly summarize what your story was about and what you're trying to convey in the composition. Okay? Also, this section right here is what you think you've done well and what you would have done differently, so you can talk about that there. And then there's a second part that's called the self-evaluation. And this area is broken down into the major areas that I grade you with, but in summary format. So basically, you're going to tell me how you think you did on process, how you think you did on concept, how you think you did on composition, how you think you did technically executing, and then whether you presented, if you submitted your files correctly, that type of thing. And then, was it turned in on time? And depending on whether it was turned in on time, you usually get a full letter grade deduction. Then you tell me what you feel you deserve on the project. Now, this is just to give me a sense for what you think you deserve, but it's not the grade that I'm going to give you. I'm going to base my grade based on the grade sheet and all the areas that you have to fulfill. But this just gives me an idea of what you think you earned, so that in case you think you earned a certain grade and I think you earned a very different grade, then I know that I have to have that discussion so that we come to an understanding why your project isn't the grade that you think that it is. Okay? So it's basically just for me to understand your interpretation of grading, and so that I know whether a discussion needs to take place. So please be honest when you self-evaluate yourself, okay? And please remember to submit it. Don't just leave it blank, okay? It's part of the design brief submission, and it's graded, okay? All right, so that's it for this document. We'll go ahead and close it. Then the other document that you need to submit is your original layered Illustrator file. And just to be clear, it's the layered file, not the JPEG that you submitted in critique for discussions, not that flattened version. I need to see your layers because all of that is accounted for in the grade sheet, and I need to be able to see that everything is the way that it's supposed to be organized and that you have paths and all that good stuff, okay? So basically, the layered AI file, and I tell you in what manner to name it. So it'll say your name. Obviously, you're going to put your name in there. Project 1 final, to specify that it's the final, okay? So you submit those two things. When I receive it, it usually takes me 1 to 2 weeks to grade it, and I'm going to be using the grade sheet. So again, I go through these major areas, concept, composition, just like I ask you to grade yourself, but I look at it very specifically, and I go through every area, and then I assess at what level you completed that particular area, okay? So we go through all of these areas here. And then I give you a subtotal. If it's late, then you get a deduction. I click yes here, and you'll see that it's minus 10 points. And then if there is such a deduction, then this grade will be 1 letter below that. If not, the subtotal and the total will be the same. Okay? So then what I do is I save this out, and I go ahead and I return it to you in your assignment. Okay? I return it to you in your assignment in La Lima, let you know that you have feedback within that document, just like I return all your other assignments. Once I have that final score, what I do is I go ahead and I go to Gradebook and I submit it in Gradebook. And if you click here, it'll take you to Gradebook, and you'll be able to log in and view the tally of your score along with any homework scores that you've submitted so far, and it'll give you an average of what your course grade is to date. Okay? All right, that concludes your homework for final submission. If you have any questions, please do contact me.